So we're kind of in a hurry. But I was like, I just really want a picnic. It'd just be so much fun. And so I said, well, if we see a picnic table, then that means we'll stop. And then all of a sudden Kaitlyn said, there's a picnic table. And we pulled in and we had that beautiful picnic, and it was just so wonderful. I just loved being there. I just didn't want to leave it. And I just felt like the Lord was guiding us every single day, and I loved that. Hello, welcome back to Single Mom on a Farm. This vlog used to be connected to the last one. So I had planned to do the last few days of our trip and then the first day of being home. And then we would all talk about our favorite things about the trip and the miracles we saw. And then I would do a slideshow of the best moments of the trip. And that was going to be a whole vlog. But when I put it together, it was really long. I didn't know if y'all wanted videos that long. So I cut it in two. And I just did the last few days of our trip. And then I moved the best moments slideshow to the end of that so that that could be its own vlog. And this vlog is our first full day at home. And then we all talk about our favorite memories of the trip. So it doesn't quite flow good. I maybe should have just kept it all together, but it is what it is. I'm just going to publish it and move on. But that's the explanation for it. If you missed any of our vlog footage of our trip, or if you're new here or whatever, and you just want to watch the best moment slideshow, it's the last 5 minutes of the coming home vlog. It will just give you a little snapshot of things we saw. As always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you for sharing this with your friends. And I hope you enjoy this. Thanks. Bye-bye. This morning, it's back to work as usual. Got laundry started, and the kids have just been doing school all morning, which has been sort of fun to see them excited about some of their passions. They've been doing some photography that they learned from Madeline and playing the piano, and doing some art, and then their normal language arts and math. And I've been adding up our receipts from our trip. So maybe I'll do like a trip total to you guys and help talk about what we spent money on. It's kind of fun and interesting to see how we spent money. And now we're having lunch. I put in soup in the crock pot this morning, a pumpkin chili with a bunch of food from our garden because we feel like we've eaten way too much car food. So we need a good hearty meal. Lots of vegetables and meat in it to replenish like the iron and vitamin C and vitamin B and all those. Delicious. That's the hardest thing about car trips is not having enough fresh fruits and vegetables and good quality food. So it's good to be back. Makes you miss it. Makes you appreciate it more when you do come back. All right, to close out this vlog, I thought I would ask the kids about the trip. So Kaitlyn and Makenna here are playing with the chicks, and whatever else you want to tell me about the trip. Like, what was it like when Madeline surprised you? What were you thinking? Or your favorite part about the trip, or a place you'd like to go back to and spend more time at? A place you want to take your kids? Something fascinating? Something that went terrible? I don't know, what you like to do in the car? Anything.
Okay.
Favorite hotel? Anything.
Yeah, my favorite part of the trip was when Maddie surprised us. If that counts, then that was definitely the funnest part. And I remember like when she walked down, then in the video, I'm not sure if you can really see, but I just like froze and I was like, that can't be Maddie, like it just can't be her, like, and everybody's still like walking, so like it's actually her. And then she's just like smiling, and then I was like, it is Maddie. And that was like my favorite part because it was just so fun and I love surprises.
Aw, I wish I could have seen your face because Madeline was like, you were just staring at me. And I don't know why. I was like sure to get Madeline in the camera, but I didn't think to get you guys. So I wish I'd like gone on the other side, but there was sort of a barricade there. But I wish I'd gone on the other side and like videoed your faces. I wish we could do it again.
Yeah. I happened to be away from her both times she surprised us, like facing exactly the opposite way.
Oh no.
Like I was eating breakfast the first time, and then this time I was like looking around, but I looked that way, and then everyone said Maddie that way. I was like, Maddie can't be here. And I was like, oh, she's like visiting like with her friends again or something, because she had in the summer like she went on a trip with her friends, so
It's like, maybe she's here again? I was like, wait, but why would she happen to be in the same place? I was like, oh, that's...
My other favorite part was Niagara Falls because it was just so cool, and like crazy just to be like at Niagara Falls. And then my other favorite places were the Sacred Grove and Gettysburg because I just loved like the feeling there. It was just really cool to know that like special events had happened in those places. And yeah.
I love that too. It was neat to see even historical places how special they felt, like the sacrifices at Valley Forge that they went through for us to have our independence, in Gettysburg to keep us one country. I really felt that too, how sacred they were.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like the same thing as Kate, like Niagara Falls and like Gettysburg and the Sacred Grove. Like those were all my favorite. Like they were really cool and they felt special and cool.
Great. Anything else you want to share?
No.
You're awesome road trippers. Awesome travelers. Too bad the chickies didn't come.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Sounds good. Hey, Sam, can I interrupt you for a second? Great. I want to ask you a few questions. Here, turn that on and gave him a mic so you all can hear him better. So I'm going to ask you anything you want to say about the trip. Like, how did you feel when you saw Maddie? Or, I don't know, favorite things we did, places we went to, something new that you learned, favorite things you did in the car, places you want to take your own kids. Any thoughts about the trip? Or you hate the whole thing? Are you glad you went or wish you'd stayed home?
It was really fun. Also at the beach. When we made a big sand castle and that Andy had started, and then we all started helping him, and he kept trying to make bigger moats and stuff like that. He got super wet.
Beach is always fun.
Yeah.
Anything else you liked?
I don't know. Playing with Maddie.
What'd you play?
In the pool one time we played like, I guess, swimming around. I don't know. And talking to her in the hot tub.
That was fun, huh? But last night she got us a pool in our hotel, and it was really fun. What about the mint? I heard you liked the mint.
Oh, yeah. I liked, we could feel the coins. There's one spot where you could feel a coin and guess what it was, and then you could push a button and a light would turn on and it would show you the coin, and we could also see other machines.
Wow, cool. I heard about it, but I didn't get to see it because Maddie said she was here and I had to run back to the car and unlock it so she could put her stuff in. So that when she met up with us, she wasn't like carrying all this, a suitcase. So that was really fun. But they toured the mint while I was doing that and said it was fun. Mints are really cool. I remember seeing them when I was a kid. Great, thanks. Anything else?
I guess not.
Thanks so much. Tilly is in the playroom playing with Legos. What do you want to tell us, Miss Tilly, about your trip?
I liked playing at the beach a lot. We made a sandcastle, and I would usually make more of just make the sandcastle, and they would usually make the moats. Everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that when Maddie was taking pictures?
Yeah.
Because somehow I missed the sandcastle.
Yeah.
I took her back to the cliff walk to take pictures with her film camera.
Yeah. We started a little bit before you guys went.
Okay. So I didn't get any pictures of your sandcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like that was a good highlight.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I also liked the mint. There's one thing on the screen where you could design a coin.
Ooh.
Where it showed different designs that you could choose and stuff.
Wow, that's neat.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you liked?
When Maddie came.
When Maddie came? What did you think?
I was just walking and then they're all like, Maddie.
Did you wonder how she got there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. For the first second, then you're like, wait, what? She's here.
Yeah. I wonder what it would like to be surprised. I haven't had a surprise in a really long time.
Yeah.
But I love giving them to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, thanks.
You're welcome.
Andy is outside listening to his audiobook. Will you tell us about the trip? Come sit over here. He probably don't want to, but here, take this microphone. You just gotta turn it on. Alrighty, Anderson. So I'm asking the kids either how they felt when they saw Maddie, how surprised were they, or favorite places that they went, places they want to take their own kids back to, interesting things you didn't know about, I don't know, favorite parts of the car, people we stayed with, just any thoughts about the trip at all.
I think with Maddie, I wasn't that surprised because she surprised us before, and I knew Mommy wanted her on this trip and stuff. And I think one of my favorite parts was the Hershey factory because the ride was fun and I liked learning about it. And then there's just a bunch of things that you could buy, and I liked looking at what there was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no one said the Hershey factory yet.
Yeah.
He said the beach and the mint in Gettysburg.
And I liked Niagara Falls and taking pictures there with Maddie's camera.
Maddie let him use her camera. That's fun. Anything else?
I don't know. I guess not.
All right. Were you a good traveler?
I think so.
Yeah, you were. You listened to books. He was an excellent unpacker. Everybody was so awesome. I was just like, hey, we got to the hotel usually around 7:30, 8:30 sometimes, or someone's house, and it was just like, quick, unpack. Everyone take all the stuff in, put it in the fridge, make your food in the microwave, and everybody just ran and did it. And then every morning, someone just packed up the car really fast. We got in a good system for that. And Andy was a great helper. So thanks for coming on our trip. Alrighty, my turn. My favorite part of the trip was seeing the covered bridges and the fall foliage in Vermont and New Hampshire and New York. I just loved it. I was not expecting the leaves to be turning already when I realized we'd be leaving September 21st. I just oh, it'll be too early. And I would have planned the trip farther back if I had had the option to. So the backstory on the trip is 4 years ago, we were studying our church history, which occurred in those states like upstate New York and Vermont and some in Pennsylvania. And so I said, I want to take the kids to these places sometime so they can see where these events happened. So I didn't that year, but this year, 2025, we are studying those sites again in our Sunday school curriculum. And so at the beginning of the year, I made the goal or New Year's resolution or whatever to take the kids to these places like New England and then the other church history sites. So that's been my goal all year, but I also thought that I would have disability money from Nathan by now, or I just kind of thought there'd be a big sign that saying we could go. I was also kind of waiting for the passports that 3 girls turned in applications for a passport, but we can't get them because we don't have Nathan's signature on them. Yet we can't get our birth certificates back because we don't have they haven't given us our passports yet. So that's kind of a whole issue. So I was kind of expecting a sign of disability or our passports or at least the birth certificates back so that we could go to Canada if we went to Niagara Falls, which I'd also want to stop at on this trip. So none of those things happened. So I kind of was just like, I guess we won't go. I was like, maybe we can just go next year, even though next year we are studying the Old Testament. And the Old Testament, of course, did not happen in those states. But I was like, it doesn't have to match exactly. It's okay. But then we got like 10 days off of our play, which just never happens in the middle of a production. You might get a couple days off, but not like a full 10 days. And so I was like, maybe that's a sign that we should go anyway. And I would have gone camping that time, except we'd already gone camping when we had like 2 or 3 days off. And so I thought that was a tender mercy also. I was like, if I had known about this long break, I would have just planned our camping trip and not squeezed it into like the 3 or 4 days that we had off, including like the weekend. So I just felt like it was, a tender mercy that we'd already gone camping, that we had this whole week off. I didn't know what else to do with it. I was like, let's just go anyway. And then I was praying about it about 2 weeks before this break and wondering what to do about like the passport or the money or whatever. And I got the impression to reapply for birth certificates, just order new ones for the girls. I was like, I don't know why I never thought of that before. Instead of waiting for the passport people to send them back, they've had them since middle of May. I just ordered new ones. So they only cost like $10 for North Carolina, but it cost $30 for Utah, where Tilly was born. So the girls, Kaitlyn and Makenna, came back within like 2 or 3 days. It was really fast. But Tilly never came. So I was like, great, maybe we still shouldn't go on this trip. But I prayed about it and I had talked to Maddie and I was just like, I just need to go. Like there's no reason not to go. So I just went. And I'm so glad I did because everything worked out so perfectly. So just go, even if you have a fear, just do it. Like that fear is usually not from the Lord, especially if it's a good thing, like a family vacation. I was like, there's not a reason not to take a family vacation to see historical sites of how our country was built and made, and to see like church history sites in our case, to see these special places where people, fought for us to be able to live here and to keep our freedom. And then to see like so many natural things like waterfalls and creeks and Niagara Falls and then all the trees and the leaves and everything. So, and then to see family and friends, not family, but friends that we stayed with. So there just wasn't really a reason not to go. So we took off and we went. Now what was I going with that? So if I had been able to plan it, I would have planned it for October because of the fall leaves and everything. So I went knowing that there probably wouldn't be much fall foliage yet. It was still September. But this was the week we had off, and so we might as well just go and we can see the fall leaves another time. So I was really pleasantly surprised that they were as gorgeous as they were, and I was really, really grateful for that little tender mercy. And I wrote down a few other little tender mercies. There's so many, actually. Like we had beautiful weather in Gettysburg and Valley Forge. I just felt the Lord leading us on this trip. Like I just felt we saw everything we wanted to at Gettysburg and that we should leave right now. And then we did. And then that we were able to make the Hershey Factory tour. And then I felt like that went a little bit faster than I expected. So then we got on schedule. Great. Valley Forge, we got there right in time before it closed, that we were able to see everything we wanted to see there. And I just felt like the Lord was guiding us every single day. And I loved that. In Philadelphia, we got to see one of our temples, but it was closed for cleaning for 2 weeks. But there was a security guard there that had a key and he opened the doors and let us in and explained some of the architectural details. And there's a picture there of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and some other cool things. So I thought that was a little tender mercy. Also in Philadelphia, we got to the Independence Hall like the last 20 minutes before it closed for free self-guided tours. And after that, you had to pay for a tour. So I thought that was another tender mercy. I was like, wow, I can't imagine if we'd gotten here any later because we were able to just walk through it really quickly. We got to talk to the ranger there who explained everything. And it was like as much as we needed to know. And all the kids were satisfied and we were able to leave. What else? When we were driving through New York City, then I asked Madeline, I was like, oh, I wonder where the temple is. And she looked on her phone and it was right in front of us. And so we all bent down and looked out the window and it was right there in front of us. And we're like, wow, I can't believe I thought about it right now. And we were able to just look up and see it. It was under renovation, so it had like the scaffolding on it and everything, but it was still so cool to see. Just another little tender mercy. When we were in Rhode Island, it was just like raining and raining. But as soon as we got out of the car to do the cliff walk, it stopped raining. And it was just slightly misty and drizzly a little bit, but not like pouring rain or anything. So we were able to do the cliff walk and we were able to play at the beach, which was also a tender mercy. Because of like the rain and it was kind of chilly, we got the whole beach to ourselves. And I thought that was great. I had never planned a beach day in all these days of planning the trips. I just never thought of like which day which beach we're going to stop at, which day are we going to take 2 hours to play in the beach. So I thought that was another tender mercy that I had never planned it, but the kids wanted to play at the beach. They just never told me that. And God knew that they wanted to play in the water, and he just let it happen. We parked right in front of the beach. It was just super easy just to get out, run onto the sand, run back to our car. So super simple. So that was another tender mercy. One day when we got to our campground, everything was like so wet, and it was still pouring rain. And I just couldn't imagine like just sitting in a wet tent the whole time. And also we had brought like a little tiny tent, and we brought hammocks. And we planned to sleep a few people in the tent and a few people in hammocks and a few just under the stars. But because it was so wet and so raining, we decided not to. So I grab a hotel on hotels.com, and we get there and it's under renovation. There's like no outside lighting. It looks scary. You go in and like carpets are ripped up and everything. And I just did not want to stay there at all. So I call hotels.com and explain that, please can I get a refund? Even though this was a non-refundable rate, I had just gotten it like an hour before we got there. But they were so nice to me, and they said that they would refund our money. I sent them pictures of the remodeling. So just saying, this just doesn't feel like a great place for my family tonight. And it wasn't what we expected. And not only did they refund my money, but then they gave me $50 extra to apply to another hotel. So I was able to go get another one. And I just thought that was a huge tender mercy. I was just like, wow, okay, this is great. One of the first days on our trip, I started really worrying about money. And then a fan sent me $25. And I was just like, okay, thank you so much. This means that we're still supposed to be here and we'll be okay. And then the next day, someone sent me $100. I was like, okay, this is great. And then the next day I still worried, like, I don't know why we still worry about money and fears and if we're doing the right thing. But then an old friend from Facebook who I've actually never met, but she was in a large family group with me years ago. And I think we looked at each other's blogs, like back when we only had like 4 or 5 kids. But she just randomly sent me $500. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like a total miracle, a little tender mercy. And so like all that money almost paid for our whole entire trip, which I kept to $1,000 was my budget for this trip. So I was just so grateful to Heavenly Father, just so grateful. Like this trip was just amazing. A couple of other little tender mercies that I wrote down. One was the picnic spot that we stopped at in upstate New York. So we're driving along this beautiful, beautiful road, and I see a lot of pullouts, which I think were for the snowplows. And it's like, I just wish one had a picnic table. I really want to stop and have a picnic. And I thought, no, we're on a time schedule, eat in the car, it saves time. This is like a 5 or 6 hour drive that we were making. We were wanting to get to this friend's house by dinner time. So we're kind of in a hurry. But I was like, I just really want a picnic. It'd just be so much fun. And so I said, well, if we see a picnic table, then that means we'll stop. And then all of a sudden Kaitlyn said, there's a picnic table. And we pulled in and we had that beautiful picnic, and it was just so wonderful. I just loved being there. I just didn't want to leave it. And then as soon as we left, like around the bend was a little tiny town, and it had like a park with a playground, a picnic tables and bathrooms and everything. And I felt like it was such a tender mercy to have stopped at that little rest stop area, like the little pull off, because otherwise if we hadn't, we would have gone to that town and we would have picnicked there, which would have been fine. The kids would have loved the playground and stuff like that. But I felt like loved by God because we were able to stop at like a beautiful scenic spot right along the river. I was able to like run down to the river really quick just to get a little tiny hike in. I was just in love with just picnicking there. So that was a special memory for me. At Niagara Falls, I accidentally pulled into the paid parking, but the parking attendant was so nice and she lifted the gate and said I could go on through to the other side where the free parking was. So that saved us $15. I was just glad that she was nice about it and didn't yell at me or make me pay for the parking that I didn't want to be parking in. So many times we were able to save a little bit of money like that I just knew God was watching out for us and helping us to make the trip affordable. And then I also wrote down like just a wonderful time that we had at Niagara Falls, that we all brought some great snacks and we had enough water. Everybody was cheerful. We were all able to walk, long distances. Nobody got blisters or anything or complained. There weren't very many crowds. The weather was nice. Just so many little blessings that I wrote down. On Sunday, we were able to see Kirtland, Ohio, and then a farm that used to be my 7th great-grandfather's. So that was really fun to see that. It's a historical site in our church also. But I loved being able to see it. Again, I had seen it when I was a kid. And we were able to make the timing work out perfectly for all of these places so that we could see them all and that we weren't rushed through them and we didn't have to skip anything that was important to us before they closed at 6 o'clock. So just little blessings all along the way. Oh, I didn't finish my story about going to Canada. So after we saw Niagara Falls, I wondered if we should still try to go to Canada or not. And I had 3 options that I could think of, even the wrong ones. I just like to list out all my options and then of course get rid of the ones that are dishonest. My first option was to let Madeline take the kids who we had their birth certificates for across the border, and I would just stay at the car with Tilly. We could like read in the shade and eat some snacks and stuff. Second option would be to like hide Tilly under the sleeping bags and blankets in the back and try to smuggle her in, you know, because we didn't have her birth certificate. And the third option was just to be honest about it and say we don't have her birth certificate, but we have these other kids' and see if we can still go into Canada. So we decided to choose the third option, which I'm so glad we did because it ended up taking 2 whole hours to get to Canada and come back. And I would have hated to have like just been sitting there all that time with Tilly. And she got to go. So we get to the border and he's just like, what are you wanting to do in Canada? And I was like, we just wanted to say we've been to Canada. We're not doing anything. And he's like, well, you're in Canada now, so you might as well go check it out. So I had just given him my stack of birth certificates, including Maddie's and everyone's, and he just like took them and was like, okay, well, you're in Canada, so go ahead. And I was like, well, we have a hotel down in Cleveland tonight, so, you know, we're not like hanging out here or anything. But he's like, yeah, whatever. And he just let us go in. So it was super easy to get into Canada. And we just were able to drive for about like 45 minutes or something. And we came out another side of it, like down south of Buffalo. So it was great. The kids can say they went to Canada and we didn't even have to really worry about anything like with passports. But I'm so glad that we got the 2 girls' birth certificates so that I didn't only just have a few, that I had that whole stack. And so it looked like I had everybody's. I mean, he didn't ask for everyone's names or anything. He just looked like I had my birth certificates. And so he waved us through. He didn't count us or any of that. So I just thought that was a blessing that I listened to the prompting to get birth certificates for Kaitlyn and Makenna and Talea. And even though Talea's didn't come, I'm still glad that we tried to go through because they really didn't even care. So that was another little tender mercy. One of the new friends that we stayed with, we found out that she was best friends with one of our best friends in Utah, like the friends that Kaitlyn and Makenna and Talea flew out to visit last March. So isn't that crazy? They had been best friends before either of them got married and had kids. So we thought that was super cool. Then we also found out that we were both at BYU the same years and never knew each other, and that we had both lived in Dallas the same years, or a couple of the same years overlapped, but we were on opposite sides of the city and never knew each other there either. So it was just so super cool. We connected right away and hit it off, and it's so fun to have a new friend now. We know we're going to be good friends from here on out. I hope the next time you have a little road trip that you're able to see the Lord's hand in it also and write down the special experiences you have and the tender mercies where things are just going right. I also wrote down a few bad things that were happening, you know, like when it rained when I didn't want it to rain or whatever. But then I looked for the good in it and say, why is it okay that it's raining right now? And look for the beauty in it. Like some of the fall leave days, it was just raining. But I was like, there is beauty in rain. Yeah, I wish it were sunny, but I could still see a lot of joy in the rain and the coziness in the car, things like that. So I can't wait to hear about your road trips. I hope you're able to take some, and I'm going to do a video about how to make them as affordable as possible because I think they can be very affordable, and I don't want people to miss out on road trips and family vacations because they can't afford them. There's usually a way to make it happen, whether it's shortening them or just doing without some things that you would like to do and to take on the trip. Thanks so much for watching this video and our trip. Have a great day. Bye-bye.